Welcome back to Off the Record, where we talk about
whatever we want.
And we got Kelly here with us today. You would know her from Bling Empire and all things that are rich and fancy. And we got a bunch of questions for you today.
Oh, geez, I'm scared.
It's kind of like a mixture of Ask the Experts and Off the Record. Today is Ask the Rich Person.
Do you?
I'm not really that rich, though. I feel.
No, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You're very rich, bro.
Compared to us, do you? My first question. Do you wear the same socks twice?
I wash in between, but yeah.
She washes her clothes and saves them.
Well, I don't wash it. The maid wash it, but yeah.
The maid washes.
There it is. There it is.
Do you lose socks a lot? Do you?
Oh yeah. Like everybody, just like it eats.
Do you think your maid's stealing your socks?
Oh,
If I was your maid, I'd steal your socks.
Problem solved.
I know she probably has really nice socks.
I got you.
Luxury.
One of the things I was thinking is if I was rich, like the what is it, like the disregardable clothes, like underwear, socks, or whatever. I feel like I wouldn't even. I would just keep buying new and just throw it away.
I would feel so wasteful. Like I would feel really wasteful.
Rich Asian person would say that.
True.
Yeah,
True.
very true. Or depression era grandparents. You don't do it.
Very true.
You
But
don't
Kelly
do it.
wasn't born rich, guys.
Yeah.
When did you actually become fucking rich?
I went through a lot of dips. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you always go through dips.
Yeah.
But you know, I grew up in China with a very comfortable lifestyle. Immigrant to U.S. and just our first apartment was $250 a month. It was super rough. And then my mom worked her way up, and then I started working when I was like full time when I was 18.
So what did your parents do?
They were my whole family are doctors, but then when it came to the U.S., my mom had to go through residency all over again, but she had to support me. So a single mom, and she was doing anti-cancer research, working two restaurants, and
Wow.
yeah, she's a super woman.
That's incredible.
And then started doing finance. And then, and then moved us to a very nice suburb.
So she was working on being a doctor and she goes, fuck this shit, finance.
She can't do the residency, there's no way. She was a doctor already in China. She has an MD, but she has to go through residency in order to practice. And, she couldn't do it while raising me. Yeah. And then I built my business.
What was the first business you did?
I bought a restaurant on Sunset when I was 23.
Sunset in Hollywood?
How did you get the moolah to buy the?
I worked really hard, and then also I have really great friends that believed in me and put money together.
So kind of like crowdfunded amongst.
What kind of food?
It was a diner actually. It was a trendy diner, and then upstairs of that restaurant, I found out was Jim Morrison's old apartment from the doors. So I ended up changing that into the Morrison room. It was a private lounge. Speakeasy. It was like speakeasy when before speakeasy.
That's good. I like that.
You go through a dark parking lot. You gotta follow the light up lizard, and it was really cool. We only no pictures allowed. This is before Soho House. So and then private parties and after hours and all that stuff. Yeah, it was really fun. It was fun.
So that's where you found your first kind of like successful endeavor, and then you're just like, I'm crushing it.
I don't know if I was crushing it. I learned a lot of lessons from it. But when I sold the restaurant, I started getting into tech. So I invested in different startup companies and put funds together for that. And then
When you sold your restaurant, would you say that's your first like big break or first big time? You're like, oh, I'm getting pretty successful.
not really. I don't think so. Yeah, I think the restaurant was so hard.
Restaurant's hard.
Thank goodness we didn't really lose money, but it was hard. I mean, there was months that I'm like, okay, I gotta either pay the rent tomorrow or pay the employees. But then there's also great month that's like really, really well. So we've been doing really, really well. When
So it just goes up and down like crazy.
Yeah, when we first opened, we did really well. And then West Hollywood decided to remake all their sidewalks. So we had no entries to our restaurant because they and then the city's not doing anything to reimburse you for all the business you lose. So you just don't know. Yeah. But it's hard. Every business is hard. But I learned a lot from it. And then
When was the point where you're just like, oh baby, I made it?
And you just say, oh, baby, to the left or to the right?
Because I know for us, it was 2016 or 2015.
Ooh, baby.
I'm gonna buy me a Birkin.
We went from 6 figures to 7. That's the point when I was like, oh baby, we can pay each other now.
that's pretty awesome, though. That's pretty awesome. I think for me was, when, okay, well, I had the I guess the whatever of my lifestyle was when I was married to my ex-husband, who I don't know. Oh, you don't watch the show, so.
But I heard about it though, because people were asking.
Power Ranger?
No, not the Power Ranger.
The one before the Power.
He doesn't watch the show either.
The one before Power Ranger?
Why you look so sad?
No, I just been trying to figure out which one it is.
Okay.
He took it hard.
I found out because my fans were trying to get the dirt on you, and they're like, by the way, is Kelly just mooching off of her ex-husband's money, or is she actually successful on her own? I was like, bitch, I know her because I did business with her in your face. But not really, I don't want to call you a bitch because you're my fan.
I actually lost money from the marriage, because so you know, he was, for me, I respect him a lot back then. Before I knew it, he made his first million. He was 18 years old. He's an immigrant as well from China, and super like just very, very smart, you know. But later on, after we were separated already, so even after we were separated, we separate households, everything. I found out that's when he got served. I found out he was running one of the biggest cyber scams in American
What?
Yeah, so.
Is his name Satoshi?
That's not a scam, bro. I will fight you. I will literally fight you.
What the fuck, dude?
I will literally fight you. And I will lose.
Satoshi Elite.
Got your back. Yeah.
So, but you know, however, during a time so he ended up having to settle for $168 million. But the times that we were married,
I'm like, fuck, that
the
number.
money I still was making good money. The money I made during that time, it got lumped into it because he didn't really have $168 million in his bank account, right? So everything, all the stuff I actually earned outside of it were lumped in it. So I actually lost money.
Wait, is it because when you're married, you share bank accounts and all these things, so then they can take your assets?
We didn't share bank accounts, but we were legally married.
So what kind of gold digger are you then?
Horrible one.
Damn it, dude.
It's an easy job, apparently.
She's a gold giver, not a digger.
I gotta learn from that con artist. That's
Funded the cyber scam, yo.
I'm gonna take a class or something. This is pathetic.
I need to. Yeah, horrible.
So did he come from wealth, or he was just?
No, he made everything. Like he was like sleeping on the floor when he was growing up because his family didn't have an extra like bedroom for him. So yeah, I mean, when he telling the story without knowing that was like a scam, I was like, oh my god, this guy is like, you had a lot of respect for him.
I still admire his hustle.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, okay, so around college is when I started to realize that, you know, a $80,000 job is a lot of money, and then wait. Later on, a couple years later, you go, that's not that much. 100,000 is a lot. And then later you go, wait, there's people that make like $500,000. And then your world just opens up and opens up, right? And then you realize, oh, there's a lot of people out there that make this in a day, like $100,000 in a day or whatever. When do you think like there was ever a point when your world just opened up like out of nowhere and you're like, oh shit, there's a lot of rich people in this world? Like, cause you have friends, like when did you get these hella rich friends?
I don't know, I think in my 20s, I think. You know, I think it was organically in a circle, and I traveled a lot. So, but, you know, they're just normal people.
Like you met one, but did it blow your mind? Because you didn't grow up rich, right? Because like I think all of us who are entrepreneurs, like you start slowly meeting these hella rich people, and you're like, oh my God, I've been living in a cave. I didn't realize that these people existed.
I don't know if I ever had that moment because I feel like everybody's kind of normal. I treat them like the same thing I would treat anybody, you know, like so. And then just I think at the end of the day, as long as you develop like real relationships and real friendships, because you know, I'm friends with them purely because of them and vice versa, right?
Yeah. So you didn't know until like all these things happen and you're like, oh fuck, you're rich.
Oh, you're rich. Oh wait, how big is this house?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice. Like, are you kidding me? Wow.
Well, I don't even know. I don't even ask. And same thing with my friends. I don't tell them what I have, and you know. And I'm also, normally like I'm in my sweatpants. I'm never really dressed up that
But
much.
you could tell when you're hanging out. Like when I was in high school, I went to this military school and it's full of a bunch of rich people. And then we went back to LA, went to go eat, and we're like 16. And we go eat, and then we thought we're always gonna have fun because we're connecting because we're people, right? I get the menu, and I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? I'm like, are we only trying to order the appetizers, or like what the hell is going on? Because everything's like $60, $80, or $100. And for a high schooler that's used to eating like $5 at McDonald's, I'm like, oh shit. And it was just crazy to my mind, because like that's, you know, when you go with like an Asian parent to even an Asian restaurant, something that's $20 is a lot. And I'm like, and this kid is like, yo, get whatever the fuck you guys want. I'm like, oh, thank God I don't have to pay for this shit. $60, $80, and that was just blowing like my mind like crazy.
Today's video is sponsored by Upstart. Upstart is the fast and easy way you can pay off all your debt all online, and it's really, really super simple to do. Sometimes you can even get all your money in like one business day.
Yeah, it comes really fast. I actually used it. I'm moving, and when you move, there's a ton of different costs. And one of the things I was trying to do is build a really sick home gym in my garage, because we don't have a barbell brigade in Vegas, of course. So I got my estimate or my quote for the home gym. I'm like, oh shit, this is a unforeseen cost. I had money set aside for landscaping, money set aside for interior design.
Crypto.
But I don't want to, I do have other investments in assets, but I don't want to liquidate them because I think they're going to grow. So I'm like, what can I do? And I'm like, oh, you know what? Upstart. We always talk about Upstart all the time. So I went online, and in 5 minutes, I got a loan, because they can give you a loan between $5,000 to $50,000. Our gym is pretty expensive, so right in the middle of that, and I was able to get a loan right away. So that really helps me out, because then whatever I was able to budget that went out of budget, I don't have to wait until way later or until I liquefy any of my current assets. I was able to get what I wanted to do through Upstart, so thank you.
Upstart sponsored us, and you just paid them right back.
Right back.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I liked about them too is, they do more than just your credit score. They look at your income, your employment history, and all that stuff. So that was super cool. So if you guys are looking to see if Upstart can help lower your monthly payments or help you in a situation like mine, make sure you go to upstart.com/off-the-record. That's upstart.com/off-the-record, and the actual loan amount will be determined by your income, your credit score, and any other information that you put in your loan application. Thank you so much, Upstart.
Dude, I had a rich ex, and when we all went to dinner, it's like the first couple times, I'm like getting like little tiny salads and shit. And I'm just like, oh no, I'm just not that hungry, you know what I'm saying? I'm fucking starving. But then they had to like give me the lowdown, like, no, we want to pay for everything. I'm like, dude, I can't handle that. Yeah. But I wasn't used to the rich shit. Like where they literally had wings of their house, like where I'm like, what?
Wings, dude. Yeah, that's crazy.
So you weren't really good gold digger either.
Fuck, I was horrible at it. I tried to pay for everything with this chick.
Damn.
So I can't learn from you.
No, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Your best shot is this guy. He lives in a fucking garage, so. We're doomed.
With the tech company, are you still investing in the tech company?
Not actively, but I still have like shares in a lot of these companies. So yeah, just waiting for the IPO.
Is that brutal?
Waiting? Yeah, because some of them has been like 5, 6, 7 years, and a couple of them were really close and it just didn't close. And,
One thing I noticed when I was with the Riches, right? So I'm seeing like, I'm seeing like her dad and like their friends, and they all just compare everything to each other. Brands, like watches, they're into watches. Their kids' colleges, that was the biggest thing, right? Like that's almost like the biggest fucking flash piece they could put on the table is like, oh, they got accepted here.
It's a dick measuring contest.
And that's why when that
the scandal,
the admission scandal happened, I was like, I know who these people are. I saw that pressure up close and personal.
They cost like $1 million for like Harvard or like these Ivy League schools. That's a lot.
It's a whole business, like getting them into the schools.
And it's been going on.
Did you watch the documentary?
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. Pretty interesting.
But that shit's been going on for like decades.
For sure.
Yeah.
I saw the one on YouTube.
Is it a different one, or is it just a free version?
It was probably somebody made it, fan made.
Oh.
Yeah, it was independent.
Guy voicing over some stuff, some stock footage.
Stock footage, yeah.
But do you notice that, like with the competition, like as far as what would you say is the top echelon? Brands, cars, houses, kids, education?
All of it, But again, I try not to at least associate myself too much into that, because for me, I don't. It's whatever. You can't take that shit with you when you pass away.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed too. Is like I gravitate more toward like. So we have a mutual friend who's also an entrepreneur and very like successful, but he's the most down to earth person like you would ever meet, and you would never know that he has 8 figures to his name. Like he's just happy to do, like he'll mop the floor, he'll do everything. He just loves to work.
The funny thing is that when I met him for a whole year, I had no idea who he is.
Really?
For a whole year. We were,
You're just playing,
He's a foodie. We'll go eat and hang out, and then after like a year and a half later, I'm like, what do you do? Like, I'm like,
it's like he's always working, but you just don't know if any of these things actually work.
But yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
What does he do? For fuck's sake.
Him and his brother started this video game distribution company, and they invented a lot of things like the console that has all the games in one. Like the Nintendo.
They have the only license for Nintendo console to remake it. It's the largest toy and gaming distribution in North America.
Enough
Yeah.
said. I've seen those little Super Nintendos and shit. That's
But
really
he
cool.
is the distributor wholesaler, and he has partnership in China for the factory.
Wow.
But he's not the retailer. So like, people don't know that all those games and whatever just go back to him and his brother.
Dude, I met a guy. All he did, not even kidding, he's one of the richest people I've ever met in my life. He's like, yeah, roller coaster wheels. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's
It's
like,
the non-sexy things that's like.
don't even know it exists. You don't even think about roller coaster wheels. He's like, yeah, dude, I fucking just sell roller coaster wheels straight up. And I'm like, that's it? He's like, yeah, man. You know how like you're on a roller coaster? I'm like, no, I get it, but that's it?
There's a whole market for that? Like what?
Right? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
True, it's always something really small. Like,
You just gotta invent something and patent it. That's it.
I met something that was so rich. He was from Singapore, and all he did was like he was the middleman for logistics for shipping poinsettias from out of overseas to the U.S.
Yeah.
The plant.
Yeah, the plant during Christmas time, the red one.
I've also kicked it with 2 billionaires. Wow. Okay? They're the cheapest fucking people I've ever met in my life.
That's why they're billionaires.
They're the cheapest fucking people I've ever met in my life. I had one movie deal go fall through. I don't care if you figure this out. You know who you are. I had one movie deal. We were this close to be just fucking. It was like everything's about to get greenlit. It falls through at the very bitter end because they're afraid we can't meet our budget, which we've met our budget for every movie we've made so far. So, and we've been under budget for a couple of them. So I'm like, no, we'll do it. We can do it. But this cat was just like, I don't see how they could possibly pull that off.
Does he sound like that?
Maybe. But no, it's so funny how like you're literally a billionaire. Everyone knows you're a billionaire. You call yourself a billionaire, and then at the end of the day, you're like, this might be too much.
He's like, $20,000 a little too much.
No kidding.
Maybe that's how they became,
Of course.
because they don't stop understanding the value of the dollar.
Yeah.
Whereas like the most of us, we make more, we spend more.
That's also kind of stressful. I feel like I want to have more money so I could think less about it.
Yeah.
You know? Like that would be like my motivation or my reason.
It's funny to make fun of like the rich, but also we know that it's a diverse group of people. Like you have your hella down to earth people. Like just because someone makes a lot of money doesn't mean that it all of a sudden groups them into one personality type.
That's true.
Like it's a common phrase of like rich and greedy, like rich and fucked up, rich and like heartless or whatever. Like there's like this evilness that comes along with wealth. But then we all know personally a lot of wealthy people that are really fucking awesome people. So
Name one.
our buddy Joey.
Okay,
Yep.
nice. I like that.
Joey, I've known Joey for 8 years. It's been my mission to make him mad.
He's impossible.
Impossible.
you tried?
Yeah.
He's just happy all the time.
Try punching him in the balls.
No, that one I did not. But he's a foodie. I even like hit his lunch, like starve him, and hangry.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Doesn't work.
No,
Hit
he's
his lunch?
he's always
His
happy.
lunch. I just hit it. But yeah.
Wow.
He's always happy. Just couldn't do it.
He's the most grateful like for life dude I've ever met. Wow. And we used to go raving and partying and doing like a lot of drugs, and he just disappeared.
He's been like that since the raving days?
That's always been like jolly ass dude. Like, and then his family owned like a donut shop because they're like Cambodian, and you know how they all like own donut shops.
His uncle is the king of donuts.
Yeah, the king of donut. Wow. Yeah, so we called him Donut Joey, and then like we would go visit him, and he would like give us some donuts, and he's like, we're gonna go rave later, and then later on we're like fucking doing the candy walk. We're all like high on E and shit.
Are you supposed to tell this to everybody? He's doing E. He's an E when growing up.
Everyone did.
Everybody did eat
Come
growing
on,
up, dude.
What's the candy walk?
Oh, it was this dance that we go like this on E. It's an old school rave dance.
Can you do it?
It's the Norda track. Oh, my days are over, man. I'm retired.
He's not on E.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It wouldn't be right.
No, but then
The Running Man?
no, but the thing is, all of that. I mean, that we were like what 14 back then, right? So he's not about that now, obviously. But then he disappeared, and then I just hear this like fable of like, oh. Yeah, he's like a millionaire now. He has an eBay business and this and that. And I'm like, what? It inspired me to actually do my eBay business because I thought, wow, he could do it. And then later, we catch up. And then he just this video game mogul. And I'm like, what the fuck? But he hasn't changed. He's still that jolly, happy, positive dude. And he's been through a lot too. Yeah. He had to rescue his family from, like he said, they were going bankrupt, and the way that they found out was the repo man coming in and taking out all the stuff from their house. So him and his brother had to, in their teens, they had to take over and help the family pay bills. They had to be an adult like at 17. So that's why you weren't raving with me anymore.
Lame. I had a repo man come for my truck because I had unpaid parking tickets, all kinds of bullshit. And in LA, they compound. And so eventually I was so utterly fucked that a repo man shows up. But I had moved to LA and my address was still San Diego. So the repo man knocks on my dad's door and and they're like, hey, we're looking for this truck. And my dad's like, I don't know who that is. I've never heard of that in my whole life.
What a G.
That's tight.
How tight is that?
Tight.
Yeah.
You're like, my dad's got my back.
I know.
He ain't no snitch.
I never knew that about my dad either. But I guess my dad's white trash enough to know the rules.
That's tight. He's like, I ain't no snitch, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Wow.
My mom would be like, here's her social security number, her address, everything, her birthday, go get her.
Don't take me to jail. Just don't take me to jail.